Hello, and welcome to Mission Viejo Today. I'm Mayor Trish Kelley, and we're here at the Marguerite Aquatic Center on a beautiful Mission Viejo morning to take part in the 2021 Water Safety Challenge. This important event is hosted by the Orange County Drowning Prevention Task Force and Stop Drowning Now in order to bring attention to the critical issue of drowning prevention. Far too many lives are lost each year, and drowning is preventable. This year's Water Safety Challenge takes place in a drive-through format, where participants learn different aspects of water safety through representatives from the Orange County Fire Authority, Children's Hospital of Orange County, and the Mission Viejo Nadadores. Mission Viejo Recreation Center lifeguards and others are also here. We'll meet with several of them over the next few minutes to talk more about this vital topic. Mission Viejo is fortunate to have Orange County Fire Authority Chief Rob Capobianco helping to keep our city safe. And today we're going to talk about drowning prevention, as you know. And I understand that you were a lifeguard for many years. What experiences did you see as a lifeguard that you might be able to share and help our listeners to learn about drowning prevention?
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank the City of Mission Viejo. The effort you make towards community education, the effort you make towards drowning prevention means a lot to me. I was a lifeguard for 18 years, ocean lifeguard, before getting hired by the fire department. And I think the biggest thing that I want to talk about, and something that I had a close experience of my own that really opened my eyes. When I was lifeguarding, there were these water watcher tags that came out, and I kind of laughed at them. I didn't think they had a big part in trying to prevent these devastating events for kids, and so I didn't take much thought of them. And then I left lifeguarding. I got hired with the fire department, and we were at a backyard party. There was just two couples, no alcohol involved. I had a 6-month-old son, and I was actually in the water with him. We had a beach entry, and I was just off the first stair, and we ended up looking at some plants. It's something I wanted to put in my backyard. There's 4 adults, all within 5 feet of my son, and I kind of figured somebody else was watching my son, even though I was in the water with him. I turned around for probably a minute, and by the time I turned back around, my son silently stepped off that edge, was at the bottom of the pool, no commotion. 4 parents missed it. It was at the bottom of the pool. It was very quick. I was able to pick him up because I was in the water with him. He's ended up becoming a water polo player at the Naval Academy. So everything turned out great, but gosh, it was an eye-opener for me. And the simple idea of putting a water watcher tag onto somebody and saying, you have the kids in the pool, and designating that, because it is so easy in a social event, even without a lot of people, no alcohol involved, it's so easy to get distracted. So I think after my 18 years of lifeguarding, that eye-opening event I had of a backyard incident, and they're so preventable.
I like that water watching tag.
Absolutely, we've handed them out. We have a lot, and really it's just that way to designate somebody who cannot get distracted, cannot go to the bathroom for a minute, cannot take their eyes off the pool. And when I do my time, and then I pass it off to the next person, and you always have someone watching those kids. And like you said, it happens to good families, it happens to great parents. It happens so quickly that it's preventable, and it's absolutely devastating.
Now, it is devastating. It's devastating to the family, to the community, and I think it's also devastating to the firefighters and the paramedics. What's your perspective on that?
So the experience that we have as first responders, and it's fire, it's police, it's the lifeguards, when we go on calls like this, and unfortunately they happen every year in cities all across Orange County. And when we go on calls, you know, after a full year with the fire department, we hold on to that handful of calls that we just can't quite shake. Those calls that you think about and keep coming up even after retirement, and they have an effect on us. And I have a couple of calls that were drowning related. I probably have about 7 or 8 that keep coming up in my mind, but 2 of them were young kids that died in a backyard pool of a great house here in South Orange County. And what you see those parents going through and the loved ones, let alone the child themselves. Those are those calls that are hard for everyone, and those calls that stick with us. And I every time I don't respond on them personally anymore now that I'm a chief officer, but when I see my crews going out, those are the ones that I follow up with our guys on, our men and women that come across those. They're tough. They're tough calls.
I'm sure it's something that just stays with you forever, and just knowing that you were not able to help, and that this was something preventable, and it's such a tragedy. So
it really is.
We really feel for the victims, of the families of the victims, and also we need to know that our first responders are there for us and that they're feeling it too.
Yeah. No, it's a tough situation all the way around, and once again, as you look through these efforts, and Mission Viejo really does a very proactive approach to safety in backyard pools and the ocean and the community pools and HOA pools. The efforts that are made, and take it seriously. Take the ABCs of water safety and Water Watcher program, and such small little changes in the way we act and our behavior can prevent not only families but the first responders from ever having to go through this again.
Well, thank you for your work, and thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing your experiences with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you to the City of Mission Viejo for your support again. We appreciate it.
Thank
Hopefully we
you.
can get the word out.
We'll be back with more interviews in just a moment.
Drowning happens in seconds. On average, 2 children die each day from drowning. Designate a responsible adult to watch young children even if lifeguards are present. It's up to us. Always watch the water.
Hi, Chris. We are glad today to have Chris Berry with us, who is with the Orange County Fire Authority. He is Community Relations and Fire Education Specialist. So we're pleased to have him with us today, and you've been out here all morning helping to educate community members about drowning and drowning prevention.
Absolutely. It's been a great event.
Now, can you tell us, how does a drowning occur?
Absolutely. So here in Mission Viejo, obviously we're blessed with amazing weather. So many of our homes have swimming pools. We're blessed with an amazing lake. But the main thing that we want people to realize is that there's no such thing as a safe swimming pool. And obviously the lake can provide its own unique array of challenges and hazards. But the one common denominator that we find with every drowning incident is typically there's a lack of effective adult supervision. And I think in a lot of cases parents don't realize how fast a drowning can actually occur. A child can drown in less than 30 seconds. So, kind of equating that to everyday practices that people have in the amount of time that it takes to reach down and tie your shoe, or in the amount of time that it takes to, post a photo on Instagram, send a text message. In that short amount of time, a child can drown. And, it's not even just swimming pools or the lake, but also, even a bathtub. A child can drown in less than 2 inches of water. So, one thing that we love to just make sure people focus on is having that active adult supervision at all times. And that's going to go a long way towards keeping people safe.
Well, for sure. And I know that, I'm glad you mentioned the bathtub, because that really is, get your towels before you put the baby in the bathtub. Don't put the baby in and run to get your towels.
Exactly.
You want eyes on that child at all times.
Yeah.
And I know with water safety, I've heard of the ABCs of water safety. Can you tell us what that means?
Absolutely. So, we love to talk about the ABCs of water safety because it's kind of a comprehensive guide to making sure that as parents, or not even as parents, just as adults, that we're doing everything we can to provide for a safe environment around the water. And A stands for active adult supervision. And even for our youngest kids, we like to encourage kind of a modified form of supervision called touch supervision, where you're literally touching them at all times for kids under 5. And for those under the age of 10, we recommend keeping them at no more than arm's length at all times, because it is so easy for them just to slip underwater, and it happens silently. Now, the B in ABCs stands for barriers. We encourage parents to use several multiple levels of barriers around the pool, and that can include different types of fencing that can go right around the pool or around the pool area, covers over the pool. Encourage alarms on any exterior doors on the homes that lead to the pool area. Supervision is going to be most important when adults know that the kids are at the pool, but for those times when the adult is indoors and we want to make sure that we prevent a child from accessing the water when there's no parents around, we want to make sure that we're using barriers to prevent unauthorized access to the water. Now, the C in the ABCs stands for classes. We want to encourage parents to enroll their children in swimming lessons as soon as they're able and start building up those skills. And we also want to encourage parents themselves to maintain their own swimming ability. And furthermore, we encourage people to take CPR classes and become CPR certified and know how to use an AED or defibrillator. That way, if anyone ever does encounter a drowning victim, that's one more additional factor in play that can enhance that victim's chances of survival in the time before our paramedics arrive on scene.
That's good to know, and I know that our facilities here in Mission Viejo all have that AED, and
That's good,
and
yeah.
we have lifeguards, but obviously parents need to be involved as well and keep those eyes on kids. And I can imagine even just being at home and sitting out in your backyard jacuzzi having a drink. I mean, you could slip under the water.
And obviously we want people to have fun. Everyone loves the summertime, but it's at the end of the day, it's about being responsible and just making sure that you're doing what is the right thing and what is safe for you and knowing your limits.
Obviously, our goal is to prevent drowning, but we thank Chris Berry for being with us today and talking about drowning prevention and also what to do in the case you see a drowning occur. So we thank you for being with us today, and we will be back in just a moment. Welcome back. We are now joined by Coach Wendy, who is one of the swim coaches at the world famous Nadadores. Now, Coach Wendy, can you please tell us what kind of programming do you have here at the Marguerite Aquatic Center for our Nadadores?
Yeah, well, I'm
Or the community?
Yeah, well, I'm part of the very beginning program. We call it Junior Teams and Swim Academy. And we take kids as young as 18 months and get them acclimated to the water. We teach them how to float and kick, and we've got different steps for each level. And we have kids from 18 months all the way to 15 years old in the Swim Academy. So we'll take any level, and we basically progress them through each level until they're comfortable in the water to swim across the pool. And then once they feel comfortable swimming across the pool, if they want to continue on into competitive swim, we have a junior team which is run just like the swim team. We teach them the 4 competitive strokes, and then we actually start them doing swim meets. And if they really like that, then we ask them if they want to join the Nadador swim team. So it's all step by step, any level they want to get them onto the team if they are interested.
Okay. And I think it's important for our viewers to know that you're not just for the Nadadors. You do offer swim lessons to the community. And I actually was able to have my 3 kids learn to swim with the Nadadors program. Back then it was called Get in the Swim.
Yes.
And then last summer we had to cancel lessons because of COVID, but the summer before 3 of my grandchildren were in your swim program. So it's just a wonderful program for teaching swimming, and it's so convenient, and we have top-rated coaches and instructors. So that's really important, I think, for people to know.
Yeah, I am so glad you brought that up, because so many people come to us and they think it's only the competitive program. But that's not only what we offer. And we also have summer programs for people that just want to try it out. Hey, my kid likes to swim. We're just looking for something a little more. And so exactly what you're saying, we've had, so many people have had kids come through the program. Now they're bringing their grandkids to us. They're happy. We're seeing such good results. And it's wonderful being able to work outside. They just redid the whole facility, and we've been hearing so many good things about, people being able to come in, see the new pool, that we're outside, we're not an indoor facility, and that, grandma and grandpa can come. Everyone is welcome to come on the pool deck. We still have our COVID restrictions, but, people are welcome to come in, and we have a little more pool space because we have such a nice facility.
The facilities are beautiful. The city renovated this aquatic center a few years ago, and it really is just excellent. And I remember sitting on the hill watching my 3 kids take lessons in the warm-up pool,
Yes.
it used to be called. And then 2 years ago watched my little grandchildren, but now you have bleachers and shade and seating. Tell us about the pool where the kids do learn to swim.
So it's a 25-yard pool, and it's 3 feet deep across, at the deepest end. The other is 1.5 foot deep. So it's very easy for kids that are beginning to swim to touch the bottom. It's not scary for them. We keep the pool warm, 88 degrees. So even though we are an outdoor facility, it's very comfortable for the kids when they come into the water and jump in. We keep our groups small. We offer either private lessons or group lessons, which is usually 3 to 5 kids in a group. And they're 30-minute classes. And then once they get through that, if they want to do our junior teams, it's a 50-minute class. And so, we've seen a very good success with the numbers, keeping them small, keeping it a little more attentive on the individual instead of, such a huge group. And it's funny you mentioned your kids, because my kids also went through the program. So my kids are in college now, but of course when I looked around, I'm going to look for the best program, and I thought it was the best program for my kids as well. So I was on the deck, and sometimes when I'm teaching the little ones, it reminds me of my kids being in the water and being on the deck all the time.
So it's so important that we know that you're available for swim lessons. That is such a good resource for our members of the community here. But also, the Nadadores swim team is exceptional. It is, as I mentioned earlier, world famous. What do you think sets the Nadadores apart into that excellent rating?
Well, the coaches is part of it. We've had coaches that have been here for several years, and as a lot of people know, Mark Schubert has returned, where he started the program in the 70s. And so he's back here trying to keep it back at that level with a lot of the same, he brings the same philosophy and the same training into it. And when we look for coaches, we want people that are stable, that have been in the program for years. A lot of times we have kids that have swam with us will come and teach as well. So they know, what we strive for and how to be the best. And we also get people coming here because they know how successful and that our program produces Olympians, that, hey, this is where I want to train. If I want to be at that level, this is the place to be.
Olympians, yes, that's key.
And right now we've got 2 open water swimmers that made the Olympic team just a couple weeks ago.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Wendy, we are grateful that you were available today to talk with us about your program. And you will see me soon with grandchildren enrolled in the swimming lessons because we want to get them back in there again.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. We're open.
Yes, so thank you so much for joining us today, Coach Wendy.
Thank you.
And we've had a good conversation with Coach Wendy, and we will be back in just a moment. I'm now very pleased to be joined by Julie Lopiccolo. She's the co-founder and the president of the Jasper Ray Foundation for Drowning Prevention and Child Safety. Julie, you have an amazing story and you've done amazing work. Can you tell us how you first got involved with this work?
Yes, thank you so much for having me today and taking up this topic. In 2012, I had my first son. My husband and I had my first son, Jasper, and he was, like every parent's first child, just our world. And I went back to work. I stayed home with him for the first year. I just graduated law school, and I stayed home with him for the first year before I went back to work, so I could, spend some time with him. I ended up starting at a part-time job, so I was home with him most of the time, and I had my mother was helping with childcare, and I had a babysitter come over to our house once a week on Wednesdays. And on March 19th, 2014, I received a call that my son had been taken to the hospital. And it was from my babysitter's father who called me, actually. And he didn't tell me anything more than that. He didn't know what was going on. I thought, we have a super child-proof house, and I couldn't imagine what had happened. So I ran down the stairs, jumped in the car, and headed towards Chalk. They told me he had gone in an ambulance to Chalk. I got my babysitter on the phone as soon as I was in the car, and she told me that she found him in the pool. I don't have a pool. I was at first very confused. Was she talking about the blow-up pool? It was March. It was cold. I didn't understand why she had found him in a pool, and it clicked. My babysitter was my neighbor behind me, and they had a pool in their home, an unfenced pool. She had been instructed never to take Jasper there for that very reason. It was not protected from the home. There was no isolation fencing at all. They didn't have any young children. He was not to be babysat there at any time. He was supposed to be at our house. And really, once I had this realization, I knew in that moment that I would never see my son alive again. So we spent 1 week with him at Chalk, and we still don't know all the information about the event, but what we can gather from the event is that my babysitter just momentarily lost him while she was using the restroom. He was 21 months old, so he was probably, just getting into something, and so she checked the entire house. She looked in the kitchen, she looked under bed, she looked in the closets, she looked in all the rooms. She noticed that the door was open. By the time she had gone outside, as so quickly happens with children, she found him in the pool. She panicked. She knew CPR, but she wasn't able to perform it on him. So by the time help was there and he was taken to the hospital, although he was revived, he had been without oxygen for nearly an hour. And we know that brains cannot survive that. And so he survived for 1 week in the hospital and became an organ donor on March 26, 2014.
I'm so sorry to hear that. It is every parent's nightmare. And you lived it, but now you're taking that experience and you're working to help to prevent that same thing from happening to other families.
Yes, we are. So my husband and I now, did not have a child. So we put all of our energy into forming the foundation in his honor, the Jasper Ray Foundation, and began this life of working in drowning prevention. And I have learned so much since I started this work that really our whole mission is to share this with parents and try to help parents understand that drowning is preventable and really teach teach the kind of awareness that could prevent the loss of life that we've experienced in our lives.
And it's really where we live. I think in Orange County, there's so much water around us. There's so many people with swimming pools, and we have the lake and the ocean, and so many opportunities for kids to be in water and families to be around water, that it really, it is something that we all need to be aware of. It's something that happens. It can happen. It happens in good families. It happens with good parents and good caregivers, and it's always a tragedy. And I have to say, our Mission Viejo recreation centers, our lifeguards and staff are so good about that here. Mm-hmm. And they also require U.S. lifeguard approved swim vests. You can't just go in with the floaties with the arm floatings. They require, they actually come over and check. I take my little grandchildren to our swimming pools, and they come over and check and make sure that it is U.S. Coast Guard approved life jackets. And they also remind you, get in the water, stay in arm's length with that little one.
Very important.
So,
and lifeguards should always be used in open water. So if you're boating, any open water recreation, life vests should be used for adults and children. Water wings are not life-saving devices, and they really do offer a false sense of security. I have learned, as I mentioned, I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old now. I did not put Jasper in swim lessons. I thought he was too young to learn how to swim. Right. I have taken a very different tact with my children now, and both of them were in swim lessons very, very early. There's a lot of benefits to this. Children who have formal swim lessons are 88% less likely to drown. So the sooner you can get your children in swim lessons, the sooner, and those water wings, they do not teach children how to swim. They really prevent kids from learning the proper way to swim, but they think they know how to swim, so they can be a really dangerous tool to use. That's
really good information. And another tip that I think is really important for parents or anyone who has a swimming pool, if you're going to have a pool party, hire a lifeguard.
Yes, absolutely.
Just hire someone who, we have plenty of lifeguards around, young people who are trained lifeguards. Hire a lifeguard to be there for that 2 or 3 hours for the pool party. Still, you need to keep your own eyes on your kids. Yes. But if we have a lifeguard there, that's one extra measure of safety that could possibly help to save a life.
That's really important. It's an excellent recommendation. We would support that recommendation, absolutely. Lifeguards are so important. But again, if you have children, especially young children, parents' eyes should always be on the kids.
Exactly. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
I think one thing that I have learned as my children get older is to have safety briefings with them before we go into the water. So this happens whether we're at the beach, whether we're going on our boat, or whether we're getting in a pool. We talk about the risks of water. We identify, some of the rules around the water. So, no holding breath, roughhousing, running around the pool. Oh, never take off your life jacket. And always, always ask permission before you go in the water. You can start teaching your children this from 15 months old. Both of my kids ask permission to get in the bathtub every night. Mom, can I please get in the water? Drill it into them. You never go in that water without an adult watching you.
Excellent points, and we're so appreciative that you have come to share your experience with us today. And we are thankful to all of you who have been tuned in to this program and are doing your best to learn about drowning prevention. We've had several interviews with experts and with our parent here, Julie, and we hope that you will all take this information, share it with your friends and neighbors, and please, 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 may we have no more drownings. Please do your best to keep your kids, our kids, safe. Thank you all for joining us.